Hi, everyone. I'm Alexandra Uresta, and this is Career Switch Podcast. This show is here to encourage you to take action with whatever career change you're considering or working on. Maybe you're trying to switch industries or professions or break out on your own and start a business. In some episodes, I talk to people who've made their own career switch, whether by choice or circumstance. They share the good, the bad, and the truth about their journey, including what worked for them and what didn't. In other episodes, I speak with experts who offer their best career advice on challenges that can come up during the process of making a career change. After all, it takes guts to switch things up, and it's not easy. However, it is possible. So, I hope you hear something in this episode, an idea, a suggestion, a piece of advice that'll spur you into action with your own career switch, whether it's taking that first bold step or trying something new. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So many of us stay in jobs that feel quote-unquote safe with the steady paycheck, the benefits, the routine, but deep down, we know something's missing. Joining me today for the Season 4 finale of Career Switch Podcast is Juliana Londoño, a licensed mental health therapist and entrepreneur. As a first-generation college graduate, Juliana chose to leave a safe career to start her own small business that breaks down barriers to mental health for people of color. She's living proof that we all deserve to pursue work that truly matters to us. And that's why she's here, to help you realize that you deserve to make a career change, which is not quite the same as whether you can or should. In this episode, Juliana and I dissect the most common reasons people put off pursuing a career switch, from financial fears to family obligations. We share our own experiences of leaving secure jobs, talk through how to navigate tough conversations with loved ones, and lay out practical steps you can take to prepare for your own leap. We also dive into why self-worth and confidence are at the heart of believing you deserve to switch industries or professions. Hi, Juliana. Thanks for joining us today. The idea for this episode actually started with a conversation I had with a good friend of mine. We're both in midlife, so late 40s, early 50s. She's a mom, married, with a house, and she's the breadwinner in her family. Her husband runs his own business, so his income can fluctuate, while she's the one with the steady salary that pays the mortgage and the health benefits her family relies on. She told me she wants to make a career change, but is afraid of giving up all that security, and I totally get it. But I think this is a common reason why people shelve their desire to make a career change. So let's start there.
Absolutely. So I think especially for your friend and anyone listening, right, that age of late 40s, early 50s, what we know about that clinically, it could be the start of the midlife crisis of where you really start to think about, hey, I have maybe 10, 15 or so years left of work. Do I want to spend my time doing this? Because the largest amount of time that we will spend throughout our lifetime is at work. So if we're not happy at work, or if we do not feel fulfilled or satisfied or enjoyment going every day, Monday through Friday, the 9 to 5, it is going to be a struggle. So oftentimes around that age, not saying you can't have that sooner or later, but it has been studied and researched that that age really starts to settle in on, let me evaluate my life, how far I've come, or what is left.
Yes, part of what my friend and I were chatting about was that she just wasn't finding her job fulfilling anymore. She's been in her industry since her 20s. She's worked her way up, but she just now wants something new. And that's true with a lot of my guests, right? A big reason why they make a career change is because they want something more fulfilling. So that's where the deserve comes in, right? Like, even though you have a good paying job and all that, you deserve to go after something more fulfilling.
Absolutely, right? Because again, a big part of our lives is going to be work. So if work doesn't contribute to that zest of life and that fulfillment where we feel happy or excited to be in that role, to do what we do, it's going to be hard. And then that's going to infiltrate into all other areas of your life. You're going to come home and you're going to be miserable, right? That's going to drag on through the rest of your day, and it's going to affect yourself, your families, your loved ones, any other role that you play in your life. It's going to show. So you want to be happy with what you're doing.
Yeah. And let me just add that it also takes a toll on your health.
Huge.
Because I was in that situation before I quit my full-time job in pharmaceutical advertising. And oh, yeah. I mean, I was getting stomach aches pretty much every day. I was exhausted by the end of the day. And not the good type of exhaustion, because now that I've switched to podcasting, yes, I still have long days and I'm exhausted, but it's a good tired. I'm not drained like I used to be. So yeah, I just want to put that out there that it can take a toll on your health.
Yes.
And your mental health.
Absolutely. And a lot of it is really related. For any of the listeners out there, if all of a sudden, right, you start with the stomach ache or that stomach pain, right, be mindful to that. It could be anxiety that is being presented in your gut. If you don't feel the motivation to get out of bed, if you start being late, right, all of these small changes is really your body telling you, hey, we don't want to do this anymore.
Yes, yes. So definitely keep an eye out for the physical and the mental signs that your body is exhibiting. So, what else are you seeing as a therapist when it comes to career changers?
I think, again, that the career change, not just about the fulfillment or enjoyment, this might have been the passion that you put aside for X amount of years. And now is really the time. And I think with COVID and the way that the world has been, and the shift to remote work, the time is now. And all of a sudden, right, we're seeing my generation, the generation younger than me, really pushing and having an emphasis on, we want to work where we feel happy, and we deserve that. We want to work to live, not live to work. Generationally, we're seeing that. And I think, again, it's a lot of that intergenerationally, what we have seen and what is expected of us or has been expected of us. We're starting to really put forward our voice of what we want and need.
So do you come across that with your clients?
I've come across that with my clients. I've come across that even with myself. First gen Latina, bachelor's degree, master's degree, a license. And I had this very safe and secure full-time job. And I remember telling my mom, I'm going to quit. I don't find the passion anymore. And it doesn't bring me happiness. I don't want to be in an office 9 to 5. And I remember my mom being like, well, what are you going to do with your health insurance? What are you going to do with your, like, all of your benefits? And I said, you know what, Mom, like, I can figure this out. I'm going to do it. And I did. Did I do it the right or wrong way? Looking back, I should have saved a lot more money. That was definitely a big mistake on my part. I really should have said, you know what, Juliana, be very intentional and mindful about what this means, and do the math, do the numbers, right? If I quit today, what happens the next 2, 3, 6 months? And I didn't do that. So the panic really set in of, okay, I have to make my business work. And I did it. Again, looking back, I should have prepared a little bit more. But for the listeners out there, right, be mindful of that. Ask yourself that question. If I quit today, what happens a month from now? What happens 2 months from now? What happens if, the pipes break in your house? What happens if your car gets a flat tire, right? All of these unexpected but real life scenarios, because life is going to throw curveballs.
Yes, yes. Definitely prep and plan and take a few months to do it if, that's necessary. It took me 3 months to work it out financially and mentally to finally give notice.
Yeah, and it's scary, right? The psychology piece behind that, there's a lot of unlearning that you have to do in order to take that leap. This is a risk, right? We're taught since we're babies, don't touch the hot stove, you're going to get burned, right? This is that very, very hot stove of making a career change. So it's about unlearning and also creating your own path, because maybe a lot of folks in your family, whether it's a spouse, children, colleagues, loved ones, they might not actually understand why you're doing this pivot, why you're making it. And at that point in your life, when things are, from their point of view, perfect or they're good, but internally it might not be that way.
Let's dive into that a little bit about your family, your partner being supportive, because that's also another reason that you could hold off on everything, right? You need your partner, your family to be on board. In your case, your mom.
Yeah, it's so important.
And I just want to let the listeners know that you're young, right? You're in your 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot older than you, but that's good because we can look at it from two different perspectives.
Yeah.
So is my partner going to be on board, or my family, like what your mom said? Because I know I'm Latina too, with immigrant parents, and their first worry is our financial security and benefits. Like, what are you going to do if you get sick? And how are you going to pay the rent? Like, how are you going to support yourself?
Yeah, it's hard. And again, it's a lot of that. What I've learned in school, what I've learned, right, from my mom even, was always get the education to get the good job, and then kind of just stay at that good employer till you retire. That was pretty much, right, the expectation. I was never given the opportunity to venture out into exploring entrepreneurship or starting a business or making a career change. And what the hell does that look like? What does it feel like financially? What does it do to you? So for me, not only was having my mom's support super crucial, I also went out and had the support of mental health professionals that pivoted into entrepreneurship. So I went as niche as I could to find my support circle. And those two women are phenomenal. They have supported me and guided me through so many different things because they've been in the game much longer than I have. So they kind of took me under their wing of, hey, Juliana, do this, or wait to do that, or don't spend the money here, or check out this resource. Because you need that. You need that support, whatever it looks like, whether it's the husband, whether it's that colleague, whether it's the best friend, whether, right, it might be another soccer mom, if, right, you're in that circle. But having that support system is so important because things are going to get tough. Whatever that career change looks like, it's going to be weird and it's going to feel different. And what we know about the majority of us as humans, psychologically, we struggle with change. And it could be good change, right? This could be for the best, the best possible outcome, but it's still change. And we may struggle there a little bit.
Yeah. Aren't we wired for safety?
We are, right? When we think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the bottom, right, what we need in order to really just start getting to the next level is safety, right? That level of, I need to feel safe, not just where I'm living, but financially, we need to feel safe and secure, right? Where we've been taught to go to school, get the job, and stay and be safe and always play safe. And making that career pivot and that change may not be the safest move, but it might be in the long run the best one.
So, Juliana, for listeners out there who want to talk to their partner or their families about making a career change and they've been hesitating, how do you suggest they talk to them?
A few things to just consider even before having the conversation, right? Making sure that you're approaching it at the best time. So if you know that Friday night is, the pizza night with the family and you're having people over, it might not be the best time, right? Having that one-on-one time with your partner, with your family, and really approaching it in the sense of, hey, here's what I want to do. This is what I'm really, really passionate about. And I would love for you to support me as I embark on this journey. And I would love for you to support me by X, Y, and Z. So you're kind of giving them a blueprint and you're kind of guiding them into how you would love for them to support you by doing or saying or being present in such ways. And allow for them to ask questions, right? Because probably they're going to be like, where's this coming from? Why now? Right? So allow for those questions because you want them to learn. And a lot of the times it's the fact that loved ones, a partner, whoever that might be, they might just not know. If you're switching from a career in pharmaceuticals and you want to go into the film industry, well, they're going to be like, well, what the heck? What happened here? What do you know about the film industry? How do you know you're going to make it? So really explaining to them, hey, like, this is the work that I have done, right? Or this is what I'm excited about. Sometimes it's just that fear, and other people might just be projecting that onto you.
And what if they ask you questions that you don't have the answers to?
I think a great way to navigate that is anything on the lines of, that is a great question. And to be honest, I don't want to BS you. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but let's research that together. Can you help me find that answer? And doing so as a team, whether that's a team of 2, a team of 5, if you have family members, loved ones, it might be your children, right? Why is mom or dad going to make this change now? What does that mean for our schedules? What does that mean? Hey, dad, hey, mom, are you going to still take me to soccer? Are you going to still drive me to gymnastics? So really answering those questions. And if you don't know, being honest about that, because that shows vulnerability. And with vulnerability, there's courage.
Right. And I would imagine besides all the financial stuff, you should also talk to them about how you're feeling, right?
Yes.
How unfulfilled you've been feeling and how excited you are about this new field, right? So it shouldn't just be about the financials.
No, it should definitely be about the feelings, because at the end of the day, feelings, it's us ultimately what's going to drive this. So really being intentional about sharing that. Hey, when I go to work, I actually don't like it, or I dislike the way that management is, right? Whatever the case might be, or, hey, I loved it 10 years ago. I don't like it anymore. I'm interested in this, because we're allowed to change. We ourselves are allowed to change interests. Honestly, might be that maybe your partner and your family doesn't know. Why? Because sometimes we're just on that hamster wheel, right? And everybody is, and we're just going and going and going. And the next thing you know, you're like, well, 10 years have gone by, 15 years have gone by, 20 years. So really reminding loved ones of, hey, I know I go to work and I might put on the happy face, but on the inside, this isn't working out for me.
Yeah. And hopefully that will help your family support you because our loved ones don't want to see us unhappy and unfulfilled.
Yes.
Juliana, another reason why people may hesitate about leaving a good paying job is a new career going to be worth it?
Mm-hmm.
You're going into the unknown, right? A new field, a new profession. One of my biggest fears about quitting was that in a couple of months I would regret it. I think I was more afraid of the possibility of regret than the actual quitting. So for me, I made a list. Like the last month that I was there, anytime anything frustrated me or gave me that upset stomach, I wrote it down. I wrote down what bothered me and how I felt so that I could remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that if in the future I regretted my decision, I could go back to this list to remind myself exactly what I didn't like about the job and exactly why I felt unfulfilled. And thankfully, I've never had to pull out that list. So how do you suggest people work through that hesitation of going into the unknown, and is it going to be worth it?
I love your idea of kind of keeping track and a tally of what bothered you, what upset you, what felt blah at the end of the day about your role. But also, I would encourage listeners to do the contrary. Make it could be a 1-page document, it could be a 10-page document. How would you envision your life with this career change a year from now? If everything went greater than you expect, What would that look like? What would it feel like? And get specific, right? Are you living in the same place? What does that mean for your family? What does that mean for yourself? For your mood, for your health? Is it materialistic things? Is it that you have the chance to finally take your family to Disney World, right? Whatever that might look like, allow yourself to dream and really sit in that of, okay, before I make this career change, let me envision and let me picture what my life would look like. And a big thing with making any type of career change or going to school or going back to school or any big major type of change, having a clear understanding of why. Why are you doing this? Is it for yourself? Is it for others? Is it money? Is it freedom of time? Is it freedom of location? Whatever the case might be, is it just because you don't like it anymore? And that is a reason, that is a solid reason. But asking yourself why. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves that why a lot of times.
And I say write it down, because that way you can actually pull something out. Well, I write on paper, but it's there. You don't have to kind of rethink things when maybe you're in a state of panic and your why may not come to you.
Writing it down is so important. And I'm so happy you mentioned that, because what we know about writing things down, and I know a lot of our world right now is digital and everything is on a computer, but our brain processes things differently when we write things down. Old school paper and pen. So I encourage everyone listening, get yourself a notebook, get yourself a journal, whatever that looks like, and write things down. Again, your brain processes it differently. You will remember it, right? We know studies have shown you will remember it more. And it also feels good to actually write something down. It's like you're putting it in concrete, but it's not really in concrete. I have my own journal. So this is the one that I have, and I make sure that it's something cute. And it says, "The world was hers for the taking." My best friend gave this to me when I graduated with my master's. And I have everything written in here, from business to my goals to anything that I want to write. So then I can come back to this and see my growth. I think that's so important, right? To see, okay, here's where I hit my head against the pavement and here's where I got back up.
So good. I'm glad to hear that we process things differently when we write them down, because I'm definitely a paper and pen girl.
Yeah, or paint them out or draw them out, right? If someone is more artistic, paint your life a year from now with this career change, however it is, right? It really allows us to be creative and use our imagination. So yeah, do that if you need to, right? If you're more of a, I like to write your life story a year from now in third person, right? As you're writing a novel, and write it out, whatever you need to do to get yourself to realize that this is what you want to do. It is going to get hard, but remember that it is going to be worth it, because that is the question. Is it going to be worth it? What if I do this and I hate it? What if I take this leap and it doesn't work out? And as much as we want to plan so much, there's certain things that, again, are outside of our control.
Great, great. I love it. Juliana, this whole episode is about deserving to make a career change. I think deserving is different than can I make a career switch? Should I? I think the question of deserving is very personal.
It is. And I would argue that do you deserve it ties a lot to your self-worth and your self-confidence and your self-esteem.
Definitely.
So evaluate yourself in those three areas, right? Do I have the personal courage, the self-esteem, the self-confidence? Because if you do, and if you're grounded in that, you're going to be like, yes, I do deserve this. I deserve to go into a role every day and be proud of it and be excited about it. Whatever that looks like, yes, you deserve it. So really doing that inner work of, am I confident? And if the answer is, I struggle, let's work on that. There's self-help books. Go to therapy. Talk to a loved one. If it's a spouse, talk to your spouse, talk to your family, because you are much braver than you believe you are. but we get stuck in that again. We get stuck on that hamster wheel of, I don't want to get off. I don't want to get off. You deserve to get off, and you can get off, and you can do it.
And you deserve to even try it, right?
You deserve to try it. Absolutely. Because if not, right, when we think about regret, that might be, again, one of the biggest regrets that you have later on in life. When I had the chance to get out or to change, I didn't do it. What would my life have looked like the last 10 years if I would have made that pivot? And that's a much harder question to answer.
Yeah, I always think of that saying, right? You regret the things you don't do more than the things you do, or something like that.
Yeah.
I like that hamster wheel analogy because it's so easy to stay in a good paying job.
You could have the 6-figure job, but if you hate it, is it worth it to torture yourself every day? Because at that point, it might really be torturing yourself.
Yes, and on the flip side, if you're in a toxic work environment, you deserve to get out of that situation too.
Absolutely. There is one life to live, and you do not want to make it stuck in an environment, in any environment, that you don't feel safe, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel encouraged, motivated, supported. When we try to analyze it from a different perspective of, if this were a romantic relationship and it was your friend's situation, your closest friend, your best childhood friend, would you tell them to stay?
No, of course not.
Right? When we flip it, right, would we tell our friends, yeah, stay in that romantic relationship that you don't feel supported, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe, right? The answer is flat out no. Why are we then allowing ourselves to be in a work environment? Because forget the spouse, we're going to be at work way more than spending time with anybody. So if we think about that, right, do we want to put up with this coworker, with this manager, with the supervisor any more than we should? No, we would tell our friends, get out, make that change. When we look at it for ourselves, we find excuses.
Right. It's always different for ourselves. We're very supportive to our friends, but not ourselves.
Yes, support yourself. Yes.
Okay, Juliana. So hopefully this conversation will enlighten some of our listeners out there and, help them decide that yes, they deserve to make a career change. So, what are some small first steps that they can take to get started?
Yeah. So some very small first steps, right? Understanding your why, write that out, understand why you want to do this, have a clear understanding of why that is. What you typically call the market research, right? The industry, the change that you want to make, right? If it's advertising, if it's film in the, TV industry, if it's another profession, if you want to go and change and be a doctor, a lawyer, right? These professions that you need to go back to school, right? Have a clear understanding of what you want to be, what you want to do. How can I get there? Do I need training? Do I need coaching? Do I need a license? Do I need to go back to school? Have a clear understanding of what that is, because that might take some prep. And then also have an understanding of your budgets, right? So do I have enough to live off for 3 to 6 months, right? That emergency fund in case the pivot isn't as quick and easy or as expected.
Got it. Lots of good stuff to think about in this episode. Thanks so much, Juliana. So, as we wrap up, tell us about your services and how listeners can find you.
While I am a bilingual and licensed mental health therapist in New Jersey, my small business focuses on the intersectionality of mental health and the Latino community. So I go out, I partner with corporations, Fortune 100s even, institutions of higher ed, other small businesses, other entrepreneurs on, again, that focus and ultimately the gap between mental health and the Latino and BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color, that community as well. So I host workshops, keynote speaking engagements. I've been a podcast guest on several different podcasts. I am now writing. I've been featured in different blogs and different articles. So if anyone's interested in having me come to your company, your small business, your nonprofit, feel free to reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. I have my website. I'm on Instagram. So yeah, feel free to contact me.
What is your website and social media?
So my website is www.juliana, Juliana -Londono, my last name, LONDONO.com. My LinkedIn is my first and last name. So feel free to find me on any of the platforms. Send me an email, send me a DM, and let's get chatting how I can support you.
All right, Juliana, I'm so excited about this episode. I think it's a great way to end the season. Any last words?
Do that inner work first, right? Understand yourself, the confidence, the drive, the passion, because that's going to guide you and that's going to keep you going. Let's have this be, right, not just another year of what if, but here's what I did. So let's take that momentum, let's work on it and find your passion and go for your passion. Take that leap. The time is now.
And you deserve it.
You deserve it. Absolutely.
Thanks to Juliana Londoño for being our guest today. You can find Juliana on her website, juliana-londono.com, LinkedIn, and on Instagram. Thanks so much for all your support this season, and check out the show notes for additional episodes for more advice if you're still on the fence about making a career change. You can find links to the resources mentioned in this episode and more helpful information in the show notes and on our website, careerswitchpod.com. So what's your career switch? Are you motivated to take action after listening to this episode? Tell us at careerswitchpod.com. We'd love to know, along with any feedback you have about the show. Let us know too if you'd like to be a guest. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Career Switch Pod. And please rate, review, and share with your friends and colleagues. It'll help get the show out there. Thanks for listening today. Till next time.